So why should I handle these non-domain requirements? What if I just skip them? What kind of problems one might encounter? So some of the key risks involved in skipping these non-domain requirements starts with the data loss. The data loss could be a result of so many attributes, including incomplete transactions, inadequate backup policies in place. One of the examples I'd like to mention here was there is this school management software which has been used across the schools, and one of the schools was conducting an examination, and it happened to be that an examination happened at the same time. So the entire school district was taking up an examination, and during the examination one of the kids' answers were totally lost. For some reason the system did not save those answers. And that kid happened to be, unfortunately, the kid of a mayor. This was a real incident, right? So it was a kid of a mayor, and you can understand the amount of pressure the company would have gone through in resolving it. And what they had to do was to kind of spend almost 2 months, and they had to deploy their entire QA team, their engineering team on site, trying to replicate the problem, because it happens only under a certain load, under a certain concurrency. So replicating it was not that easier. So they had to spend a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of pressure to even find out what the problem is. End of the day, it was a small mistake done at a coding level, but then it took a lot of time for them to address it and overcome that risk. Other risks include the security breaches. There are a lot of security complaints that have to be made, and some systems require high level of security, like banking and financial related applications. So the degree of it again varies. And when you go for web inherently brings in a set of web security threats, which again have to be handled. And of course, not handling these things are going to end up with unhappy end customers, which in turn could result in business loss or customers attrition. Right? Application outage could be another major risk, a threat. Again, if you look at the type of applications, there are applications which do not even provide you the time frame to do an upgrade. An example could be an application that is dealing with long-term healthcare. This is an application, a product that is used by long-term healthcare centers. And long-term healthcare by name refers to those healthcare centers where very old people are being maintained and treated for ailments, right? So what happens is this particular product is being used by the nurses to provide medication to these old people. And these old people go through medication every 2 hours, every 3 hours, depending on the patient, depending on their ailment. There is a lot of medication that happens through. And what happens is this happens across the clock. So because medication can happen at any time for any patient. So you literally don't have any time to even do an upgrade or a standard maintenance effort on the product or application. So this poses a different level of challenge. So you can assume what happens when you don't consider this. An application is out for 2-3 hours, then you're talking about some serious fatal outcome as well, because you are not going to be treating those patients who could be under very severe ailment as well. So those are some of the cases that you will have to consider. These are very high critical, high sensitive things, but there is also this risks which are long term in nature. One of the best examples is the maintenance risk that could come along. Many times, considering the time pressure, considering the various priorities that are there, people tend to take shortcuts. Shortcuts work, but they don't work on a long-term basis. So you might address the, for example, the concurrency problem of say 200, 300 by quickly writing some queries or writing some kind of logic and maybe upgrade the hardware. You may be solving the problem today, but down the line, the application or the software may not be able to scale up. And hence you might even end up going through a complete re-architecture of it. So either that, or you either end up in spending a lot of time in maintaining the product. In either case, from a long-term perspective, it's going to be a killer. You'll be spending a lot of time, and operational expenses are going to be very high in maintaining such softwares. And the more product is rigid, the application is rigid, the slower you're going to respond to market. And we know in today's market, responding back as soon as possible is going to determine your success in many instances. So your product should have the agility, should have the kind of configurability that can help you respond in a much quicker time frame. Now, failing to which your competitors are going to be addressing it and they are going to be taking an edge compared to your product. And once again, compliance breaches could also lead to serious troubles. And again, not all products require this, but then the degree of it absolutely varies, and you need to determine what degree your product is going to be supporting.